There is no noise. The sound is not there, Rick. Rick, the sound is not there.
You say that the sound isn't there? It should be.
No.
It's supposed to be sharing. I'll try it again.
No. The sound is not there.
The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to medical doctors of any practice and specialty to apply to the Foundation's private weekly medical teaching workshop. This includes medical doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. Scientists of the Keshe Foundation developed different types of plasma therapies and cures that utilize advanced non-invasive plasma technology. The weekly private medical teaching workshop educates doctors to the plasma science behind the therapies, along with the functionality and operation of revolutionary plasma medical devices. The goal of the private teachings is to add plasma health knowledge to the profound knowledge of medical doctors. The weekly class is broadcast live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central European Time. Presently, the class is only offered in English. However, you are free to bring a translator to the class. If you can't participate in the live broadcast, you can watch them later at your convenience through a private internet portal. Every patient's case that is discussed in the workshop will be kept anonymous and private. This includes cataloged findings and data gained from the analysis of the patient's health issues. Any medical doctor in the world who wants to participate can do so by sending an email to doctors@spaceshipinstitute.org. In your email, please state your willingness to participate in the medical teaching workshop. If you're planning on bringing a translator to the workshop, please state this in your email as well. After we receive your email, we will contact you with the instructions on how to apply to the workshop. As a part of the application process, applicants who apply, including any translators brought into the workshop, will be required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. All applicants will be required to provide proof of their education and ability to practice medicine, and will also be required to pass an extensive security background check before they are granted access to the teaching workshop. Healthful plasma technology is here, now, the use of which is increasing exponentially on a day-to-day basis on every continent. We encourage you to come and learn about this revolutionary technology. Apply today. The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to experienced farmers, agricultural specialists, and researchers to apply to the Foundation's private weekly agriculture teaching workshops. If you fall into one of these categories and are interested in plasma technology integration into agriculture, you're invited to apply. Scientists and agricultural practitioners of the Keshe Foundation continually develop and apply new methods of food and fiber production, soil fertility management, plant and livestock health management, and increased farm productivity using the most advanced plasma technology that is taught at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. In the teaching workshop, you'll learn the science of plasma technology and its applications in the field of agriculture for enhanced and equitable global food production while minimizing costs and external inputs. Practicing farmers and Keshe Foundation scientists will demonstrate their application of plasma technology in agriculture and the ensuing results of such applications, thus deepening and enriching learning for all participants in the private teachings. Participants are encouraged to demonstrate their farming practices in the teaching workshop. The private teachings are broadcast in English live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central European Time. If necessary, you may bring a translator to the workshop. All applications are required to provide proof of their education and professional qualifications, must pass a security background check, and are required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. Translators that attend must also pass a security check and sign the World Peace Treaty. For details on how to join the private teachings in agriculture, send an email to agriculture@kfssi.org stating that you'd like to participate. Include in the email your education and agricultural experience and reasons for your interest in plasma technology. Applicants will be contacted with further instructions and details on the application process.
Welcome everyone to the 151st Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. It's Thursday, December 22nd, 2016. And once again, we're honored to have the presence of Mr. Keshe here to tell us about this week's activities in the world of plasma and other topics that he would like to expound upon today. So without further ado, Mr. Keshe, I think you're available there. Are you not?
Yes, good morning. Good day to you. Can you hear me?
Yes, quite well, thank you.
And good morning, good day to you as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these Knowledge Seeker sessions. In so many ways, we are adding to the knowledge on a continuous basis, and the expansion of the knowledge has no limit. In today's teaching, we usually on Christmas, we unravel some secrets of the knowledge of the creation, which leads to the creation of man on this planet. And I don't think this year will be very far from it. It's become a pattern of our work. Before we do, there's a couple of announcements we make and then we go ahead. First of all, as we said before, the Keshe Foundation testing stage 1 was completed a couple of weeks ago, and the report has been submitted and has been more or less accepted that the CO2 and GANs of CO2 are a totally non-toxic material, even by digestion or by injection into the body of the man. But you have to understand, this is a bandwidth spectrum, so the bandwidth which has been tested by the scientists confirms. As you were aware, we entered the second stage of the evaluation in direct cancer cell, what they call phase 2, and the phase 2 has shown immediate results. We have discovered that using the GANS material, it has certain properties and it shows certain way to interact with the body of the man. But within maximum of 6 hours, total cancer cell destruction has been videoed, pictured, and now we received a report on it. This development will carry on for another couple of weeks because it was not expected to see such a performance from the GANs on cancer cells and tumors. And so we have entered a combination of phase 1, phase 2 with new methods of observing the destruction of the material, what we call the cancer cell. What has the phase 2, what was appointed to be a week, completed is the GANS materials to destroy the total cancer cell. This goes back into what we say previously, that the GANS material can be done. Interesting part of the report says this method is more effective than chemotherapy. It's direct and its effect are very, very apparent, and 6 hours observation has never been observed with no side effect on this surrounding area. This has led the research team to take a new direction, is in trying to dosage link to cell by cell. What this means, they are looking now, started as of yesterday, and I've been in communication with them in past 24 hours, more or less, on a regular basis, because this is a very strange, what you call a strong development. And that is, we can produce specific gases for specific cancers and specific diseases. And strange enough is that we see the same performance. What this means is that what we discussed in all the teachings in the past few years regarding the cancer and what we've used, the GANs releases a specific strength gravitational magnetic field energy. When the energy level, which is built up around the cell, reaches the interaction point strength of the cancer, the interaction starts and depletes the energy from the cancer. This is now confirmed. We have no doubt on this. Scientifically has been proven. The most important part of it is that no cancer cell changes. All the pictures we have received from the development in past week, no cancer cell moves, changes until the point that the strength point has reached, and in 1 second all the cells die. It's not a process we've seen cell by cell. It reaches it, and the report explains it looks and it performs as there is a threshold. The second that threshold reached, all the cancer cells in 1 second, when we get the tissues, all the we received, that the test has been done, they start with a heavy amount of black spots, which is total cancer cell. And nothing happens, and with the test in 6 hours or 10 hours or 2 hours, suddenly the whole cell changes to totally pink cell, which shows the total destruction. It's not a process that we have to overcome one by one. This shows that we have to develop a technology, or we have developed a technology which we can tune to cells, and at a given strength will take the whole lot, transfers energy across the cell. This has led the scientists for unusual development of new methods in past week to understand this more. It's unknown territory that cells in batch in one go literally destructed themselves, they destroy themselves. This is what we thought over years, in the past years, all the time. This is what we explained, and if you go back into the medical teaching, when we speak about the stroke, confirms what we see now with the GANs in cancer. When your energy level in your emotion and your physicality reaches a point, when that point is equal to the strength of the brain cells, the whole brain cell switches and you get a stroke, you get paralysis, the cells do not behave or act as they do. This research, the data which is coming through Tokyo University, is so fundamental in the whole structure of the medical application of the new science of the space technology. Which means now we can literally, understanding this in a very detailed scientific data which is coming in, we can tune and balance the strength to any cell. This allows us to understand when the cell can be produced. This allows us to know when we can reduce or change a cell. This goes back to what we said. Now we're getting scientific proof of it. That so we can produce a cell. If you have a defect in the cell of the heart, we can concentrate on it, on its development side, not on its destruction side, and then build the cell up, build the tissue up. This development changes a lot. I have spoken to the people who are relevant to this technology and they understand it. We will start a new research indirectly because of this understanding. What it shows is not to be able to get to the point of destroying a cancer cell. This shows us a new insight. If we work on the magnetical side energy of the cell, we allow it to regenerate. If we work on the gravitational strength of the cell, we allow to drain it. So the same cell, depending, going back on the, even looking at like maglev system, by controlling the gravitation or magnetical, allows us to play the game. Today or this week, just coincidentally, John in Arizona sent me a video, and it was just had to be coincidental, and it's so correct. It shows what we say in the theoretic and in the practical way. Now we're seeing in the medical application. He has shown it so beautifully in what we call creation of the cell itself. Is John in the background? Can you see John?
I'm here.
John, could you please show the video which you made? We looked at it a couple of days ago, where you have the two coils with two power supplies that you can change the gravitational and magnetical, please.
Okay, let me pull it up in the background.
Okay, when you're ready, give me a shot, please.
Okay.
So, thank you very much. So, we see now the science of the medicine, the science of the space technology, the science of energy is just coming together. That one, now we have the understanding of to complete the process. This is very important for us. This is important on the scientific level, because now this creates a new level of directly for the team which work in the health side, creating, adjusting, understanding the cell. What it means is very simple. For example, we get a biopsy of a cancer cell. We take it out, we put it on a disk, we create the field strength on its gravitational till we see that it changes property from cancer to a normal cell or to a cell which is not cancerous. Then we tune all our system to that, and in one instance the cancer cells throughout the body change. Then you go in seconds. This is what we said this technology is available to do, its capability. Now we can scientifically show it and prove it. The mechanical side of the structure is coming in, the scientific side of the medical side is coming in, the plasma technology is coming in, and now we can do this very easily. So the reverse of it is the same. We have a child or we have a person who has a heart defect. Part of the cell is not created. We can take a very small biopsy or understand the strength of it by measuring tools, and then just concentrate the cell, because that cell only creates that strength, and we can develop it. The heart is fixed. This changes a lot of things. Even with malaria, this is what we start looking here now in Ghana, is that with the facilities we have here, we can do something very interesting now that we found this development to be confirmed to be correct. That we can, for example, find the threshold of malaria in the body, is parasite, and just reach that. We don't touch any other cell. In the test in Tokyo, we did some tests very rapidly. We put immediately on the tissue where the blood was as a different strength, we're testing against the blood, and the results are amazing. The technology is confirmed to be correct. We told you when we said over times that you should be able to walk in and walk out of a box with the cancer and walk out without the cancer. Now scientifically it's proven to be correct, and now we have the tools of it. This goes back onto Klaus and the what I call the medical team development. You have to find is working with the doctors, we have to find a frequency, what you call it, threshold band of the creation of the units. This changes the whole spectrum of the medical application worldwide. In the coming days, we release more and more. We are releasing the knowledge only to scientists at the governmental level and university level. We are not going public with this till it's completed, because it's got a specific way to be done. It's not just that you use it and it works. It works coincidentally. We have to be targeting exactly. We lose brain tissues through a stroke. Now we have to understand and tune. Now we know what it is. We understand how it is. We should be able to work man out of any disease within the next 3 to 6 months. The processing is important. Now we have scientific data. We put the scientists of the most leading universities in the world on a table who've done the tests. This changes the whole medical application. This changes the whole approach to a lot of understanding. Can we now become able to energy design or reverse in a way that we can deplete energy when there is a tumor or when there is a growth where it shouldn't be? The random operations, random things which leads to more death it goes out of the window. The way our team is working, it shows in the next few weeks, past in January, February, we should be able to show a full operational report. Maybe we submit this as an alternative side in the Philippine conference, because it's so fundamental. We have found a breakthrough which confirms in what we said for years. And we understand now why some people use some systems and they say it doesn't work. And some people use it and says it worked for me perfectly. It's a saturation strength dependent. You have to find the strength in the cancer of you. You have a lung cancer, somebody else have a lung cancer. It works on you, but not on them. It means the strength has not been achieved. Something which we have now realized in the research in Tokyo is very interesting, is that we can use CO2 to achieve the total change in the structure of the cancer in 10 hours or 12 hours. We can use zinc oxide, achieve it in zinc in 6 hours. We can move into a slightly heavy or a slightly different gravitational magnetic field length, like we can go to calcium and achieve the same change in half an hour to an hour. It depends. You have to find a strength connection. This is why now the randomness of the process should go out of the equation. This is why some people, when they use a system for 3 hours, they don't see any change. But some people use in 2 hours, then they see the change. Because in their system, it has moved to that level. So we initiated a new research as of this morning in Tokyo, is that we know the threshold. There is a very specific thing. We knew this, now we can put it in practice. In the next 7 days, will be tested in Tokyo and in one more other place which we are initiating a further test. Many times I explained, when you make your CO2, when you make your zinc oxide, when you make your copper oxide, look at the fat on the top. Now the key is that fat, because it's the amino acid. When you take the GANs, you take the energy in the randomness if it fits. Now the energy which matches the amino acid of the zinc in the fat can be the key to this solution. It already has stated this is my level. So we have to find the strength of that amino acid. It shortens the search. This changes a lot of things. The way it will change is very, very interesting. And that is, we take, for example, a tissue or a sample of the cancer. Through the processes which you have already done, we produce a GANs with presence of the tissue, like the way we did with the orange in the amino acid, in the container producing, for example, let's say the CO2. So the amino acid on top of the water has the strength matching of the cancer. in the amino acid level is not anymore random in the what we call the GANs of the zinc. So that amino acid we take out has the key to what strength gravitational magnetic field we need to produce, to adjust our systems to. This changes, this brings a new game in the health section of the Keshe Foundation. So we can use directly what is there. We can use that amino acid as a cream. We can use that amino acid as food, and in that process, tailor make it to overcome the cancer. These are the things which is now is in development. Now we see it, for the first time, we see the development, we see scientific data which confirms it, and it takes a lot of ambiguity out of a lot of things. We have seen in the test in Tokyo very peculiar pattern which confirms again the development process of the cancer reversal, that the emotion with zinc has a say in the reversal. So the cell carries two, one physical structure, one emotional strength. When we mix CO2 with zinc oxide in the lung tissue, we see a different pattern. This goes back into all our teaching. In this technology, we do not destroy, we convert to the level where the body is happy with. It's a processing, it's not a healing. The body processes itself back to health, to the condition that the rest of the body can accept. We release all this, we have released our data now to the health authorities who are working with, to the ethical committees which we are working with for further step. Because this creates a huge dimension in the world of medicine. We can tailor make any medicine according to the person. Do we need Raman spectroscopy systems? Do we need to develop new system to measure gravitational magnetic field from two systems at the same time? One being your system and one being the cancer cell. Thank you very much. So the breakthrough confirmation of the technology we have in hand, we can show it. We don't see that the cells totally disappear as they don't exist. The cells are there, but they do not behave as cancer. This is very fundamental. This is what we said. In this technology, we don't destroy, we change. Coexistence with no damage. I thank the scientists in Tokyo University, I thank the scientists here in Ghana, which work in the background with us, trying to get these things data. I thank scientists in 2 other research centers, universities, which we told we are operating with, for their work. This changes the whole spectrum of the science. But this opens a need for more understanding. This opens a need to understand the structure of the creation of the cell. This brings a new dimension into application of the technology. This brings a need for better understanding. To understand this better, today I open another chapter in the teachings. And this has been taught before, it has been explained before, but now you see the totality. What does this mean? One of the secrets of the world of man has been his own creation. How man become man, how the life starts on this planet. What is the process of the creation? Is there a God? Is there a creator? Or the creation of the man is a natural process which the man through his own weakness have created a creator to submit himself to a more higher level that he does not understand the totality. This brings a lot of insight in what we're going to teach today, in understanding of, is the process of creation anywhere in the universe dependent on an extra or additional being for it to be created? Or is a random process that when all the randomness come to it leads to creation of a being, depending on the environmental strength? This puts a very big question mark on the existence of the creator for man. Buddha, blesses his name, understood part of it, as I've said many times before, but he could not understand the totality of it. The reality of the creation goes back to the very beginning of the teaching. I'll let John, if he has found it, to show, and then I start explaining the creation of man on this planet, how the life starts and how the life will complete, and how every being on this planet or in the universe is created. Creation does not need creator. It's the creation of the condition which leads to the creation. John, are you there, please?
Yeah, I'm ready. There we go.
Could you share this with us, please?
So I'm going to warn everybody in advance that this particular YouTube video, I turned it sideways halfway through, so it's turned sideways. So you're going to have to kind of look past that if you can deal with that. And again, it's kind of raw video, so it jumps around a little bit, but you'll get the idea of what it is that we're doing. Well, what the concept is what we're trying to do is isolate the gravitational fields from the magnetical fields and play around with amplifying each one to see if we're able to change the dynamics of the field size. We moved a little bit farther along than what this particular video shows, but let me show it and we can talk.
And we have the new prototype that we are testing. You see here we have 6 coils, single coils in the middle with the GaNs ball. Each one has a alkaline ball, 13.6, with the also the coils are being sprayed with the alkaline mixture, and we have an acidic mixture in the outside of the center coil. The same thing is going on in the magnetical side of the device. The inside coil is also alkaline, and the outside is acidic. And we are going to now test the device with 2 transformers as we use in the other test, and we are connecting only 1 lead to the gravitational side,
Okay.
and 1 lead to the magnetical
Okay, so
side.
David, you got the gravitational side. Go ahead and start your
We're going to
unit.
flip the inner coil first, and
Yes.
we're going to test the field. Okay,
These are
so
low
test the field.
voltage power supplies.
Dude,
Not
get in.
putting out a lot of
Yeah,
power.
it's good.
How far is the field? Go slow, Julian. I'm trying to follow you.
2, 3 feet.
Yeah, okay.
1, 3 feet.
And then out the other way about 2 to 3 feet. Okay, so now
Well,
that's the
we're seeing a bubble
gravitational
here. We're
field.
seeing a bubble. That's what this field is creating, a bubble right
Okay.
here. That And is. now-
So now turn on all the magnetical fields and go ahead and bring it up to about 3 to 4. Right, that's pretty good right there.
Yeah.
Because we got these little high voltage transfer. Now what happens to the fields on the outside, Julian?
And then it goes about 3 feet.
It looks like they're a little bit more. About 4 feet out.
High.
4 feet out. And how about high, Julian?
Down.
Come over.
Yeah. Then
And-
we have a big bubble.
And what
here.
happens? What happens with the center field, Julian?
Like 4 feet.
So all the way around, we have like this big bubble. Or
Maybe 1 more feet.
we have this big. Yeah, we're about a 4
4 or 5 feet.
4 or 5 feet all the way around, plus on top. Okay, so now let's see if we can control The outside versus the inside.
We're gonna start the inside circle.
So turn off the gravitational. And what happens to the fields now, Julian? We still have the magnetic fields.
Check the inside.
Is it just as high on the?
No, I think a little bit lower.
A little bit lower?
Yeah.
But the magnetic field is putting out a pretty big field, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we're going to turn the magnetic on now.
Wait. Turn your gravitational back on.
Okay, turn that one on.
Okay.
Then.
And then what's happening to your fields again?
Go into 3 feet again. Then
So it looks like maybe. So now we only have the gravitational field on.
Gravitational.
So the gravitational is not quite as strong as the magnetical field, it looks like. You're kind of bouncing all around, but it looks like it's about 2 feet out rather than 3 feet out. Okay.
Then we're going to flip
All right.
again the.
Flip it back on. Flip it back on.
Okay. Check the field.
And
And
we got the
field
right
goes really
size.
out.
Okay. Okay, so we'll just leave them on from there and see what happens with the fields. So we actually think that we can create an entire toroid out of these two magnetic and gravitational fields. What we're working on now is to bring them up off the ground and to reposition the direction of the coils, where we turn them to the 90-degree way of looking at them. So that's kind of where we're at. Sorry about the quality of the video; it wasn't that great, but we never said we were videographers. Are you back with me? Hello?
Hi, John. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you for that. I'm not sure if Mr. Keshe is there. Can't hear you, Mr. Keshe. Maybe you're muted. Let's have a look. Okay.
So I think conceptually what we did when we wired up those coils is we wired them a little bit different than your normal coils, in that we wired them gravitational to gravitational and magnetic to magnetic. And what we tried to do is put the additional acidic and alkaline feature to the gravitational and the magnetic fields, believing that isolating them would help in achieving what it is that we desire to achieve, which is control of the spacecraft. Because when we go, is Ms. Kress back? So I was going to say, when we increase the gravitational, we'll pull the spaceship down. When we increase the magnetical field and amplify that, it will allow the spaceship to go up. So, Mr. Keshe, are you there? Okay. Any questions from anybody about what we're doing? Come on over. Yeah, actually what we're going to do is pull it up off the ground, off of the wooden platform, and have it such that we can build that field. We think it's going to be a real bubble. A circular type of bubble with a toroid field in the center. You can feel the energy coming off of it. Not that it's overwhelming, but you can still feel it.
John, in the central core, does it go down to 0, or does it just decrease in the very center?
In this particular case, it was a bubble, like a.
Okay.
The center was higher than the outside edges.
But you get a toroid sometimes, right?
So what happened in the 18 unit configuration now, as we've let the fields set up and get balanced within themselves, we found that the fields kind of flattened out to where it's much more of a toroid type of field versus before when we started it, it was much more of a bubble type configuration. So I think it's more of a situation where the fields get balanced and then they find their balance amongst themselves to where the toroid action actually takes place. That's what I'm sensing from what we're seeing now. So when you first start them up, it's like you get this big bubble, and then as you let it sit, it starts to feed back into itself, and the fields start to flatten out a little bit.
Okay, that makes sense. Is there any other questions for John? We have a couple of viewers with their hands up. I'll promote them. One of them is Mr. Keshe. Okay, I promoted the wrong person here.
Hello. Yes, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm Mr. Keshe.
Yeah, sorry about this. It's just that we have a problem in the downloading and then just falls out. Thank you very much, John. What is important, as I've listened to most of the conversation in the background. Now you can see we can find and go further with this development and adjust, tune. We can adjust like the core inside the mixture to find that the cancer cell strength is gravitational or magnetical, how much it goes, how much it gives, and how much it takes. This simple test changes a lot of things. In the process of looking at this with John, I explained to John it needs to be more realistic. The more realistic is that at the moment when you look at this core and coils, they are flat and they're touching the ground. If you remember and go back to the very original teachings when we showed a lot of things with magnets, we have shown that when a magnet, two magnets are on the table, the distance between them is very, very little. Let's say 2 or 3 fingers when you put them on opposite polarity. But when, for example, you turn the one magnet on its side and you take the other magnet in air, the gap increases 3-4 times more. When you hang magnets in the air and you let it swing against each other, you'll see the expansion of the field. So what we asked John, if he can take it a step further, is that to lift these coils off the ground, where, for example, just only the magnetical is put in a pipe and it holds, and the rest are free and only touches on 2 points of the 2, what do you call, the magnetical ring. So now we should see an expansion in the field strength. And this is what we're dealing in the atomic molecular structure in a cell of the cancer or anything else. So we're becoming more and more to the dimension of the real condition, where the cores, like the star formation, hang in there. But this time, we don't create rotation, as we said in the teachings. RPM in the motors can be changed to voltage, potential difference. So this way, we don't need high speed rotation. John can control gravitational magnetical, move the power unit inside the system than outside the system, and then we become to more realistic operation. This is as part of the flight system, but at the same time applies to the health application. This is what we said with some talks before with Klaus and the other side, the medical side. You can tune each core is gravitational magnetical. It's the first time we see it. So this opens a totally new horizon in the life and the operation of the technology. Are there any questions that we can answer at this point relevant to what we are talking about? We answer. Otherwise, we go in the process of what we said, the creation of life on this planet or in the universe. And then you will understand more how even the blood system, your blood circulation has come to being, how life starts. Some of it you heard earlier, some of it you heard in parts in different teaching. Some, we bring everything together, and then from then we complete the body of the man, the life on this planet. Are there any questions?
This is a question for John. This is Mosfik Rashid from Bangladesh. And in terms of applying voltages, how far up have you gone in terms of like what voltage? After the transformer I'm talking about.
So these two power supplies that we use only go up to 3 volts, but the little transformers go up to 70,000 volts. Yeah, there's 70,000. So they amplify the fields. If I just put on the power supplies by themselves, we wouldn't see much. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it did. It's 70,000 or 7,000, did you say?
70.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And you can find those for, they're not very expensive. You can buy them on eBay for maybe, I don't know, $7, $8.
It has to be mentioned that these transformers are a pulse transformers. They are not continuous. They create a pulse voltage up to 70,000. But the most important thing is maybe some of you have missed the point. That when one unit is at 3 volts or no voltage, and when one is at 70,000, you see the expansion. At one point, they switch off the power supply. So now pulse is only in one branch. In the other point, they change it. This is exactly how the body operates. This is why we see this operation with these transformers. It's a pulsing transformers. This is not a continuous. So very much near enough mimics the body of the man. The heartbeat, the frequency, what you call it. That's why we see these behaviors. When you go to 3 volts, it's very little. But when you still go off the table, you still have a field. In the next few sessions, when we show you the new generator, you will see the expansion of the fields 2-3 meters beyond. Very powerful. The new generators behave very much like, what do you call it, the body of the man. They become a plasma source. So we can expand the unit's powers by itself, and make it wireless with a very high energy. Plasmatic is balanced energy. So as you see, one thing is adding to the other, and the knowledge is supporting the other part. We learn from one part, we put to the other one. The field is very low without, which means it's at rest. You increase high pulse or low pulse, or you create a, if they manage to tune the pulses between the two fields, you will say zero shielding, zero field around. One of the reasons you see when they switch one to the other and you change the variation is because these two transformers are not synchronized. Or one is slightly not the same as the other in the voltage. These things can be explored and go further with it and see how the change comes. How can we change the gravitational to a magnetical, and then link the magnetical to gravitational to bring balance to the cell. Any other question?
We have a question from Justin that says, so is this related to the back EMF? EMF would be electromagnetic flow, or electromagnetic force rather, as in flow in the electromagnetic system.
We're going back to the same thing as we said before. Confusion in the world of science, use of language. You call it backflow, you call it eddy current. What else you want to call it? It's all the same. In the world of science, now that you are well educated and you understand, you have to realize there is nowhere a forward movement if there is not a stronger backwards to support a forward. In the present world of science, when we go to Newtonian laws, we say that the force has to overcome a point that the matter can move. In the world of plasma, it doesn't exist such a thing. In the world of plasma, if you really define it, you have to receive more to be able to give. Newtonian law looks at the solid matter state. Plasma law looks at the reality of interaction. And this is where a lot of people get confused in trying to understand the plasma technology, electromagnetic field, current flow, but in a way we use the same terminology for the same thing. Backflow, eddy current, gravitational field. It's the same meaning, the same terminology. The confusion in the world of science has created, using a language which creates confusion in the understanding of the science. So backward, you call it backflow, you call it eddy current, we call it whatever we like. Is what has to come back much stronger that can allow you to push forward with it. So there is no confusion. Now we understand this, we know. You call it electromagnetism, backflow, you call it whatever. For us to be able to go, as we see in plasma, further, we need to receive to be able to give. So backflow is the same, eddy current. That's why we see in the electrical systems, if you measure the backflow voltages are higher. Professor Miles is call it scalar waves. And his argument is, my system is better than Tesla. Tesla could not pass Faraday cage. I can. Because Tesla gives. Giving is weaker. Receiving pushes through. I always said, admire both the scientists. One is Tesla and one is Miles. They talk about what you said, backflow. Put a scalar wave, call it a backflow, call it eddy current, it's the same. That's why it goes through the Faraday cage, because it's stronger. It needs to come in to be able to give. I had the pleasure to meet Professor Miles in 2 or 3 occasions, and when you speak with him, he's blinded to the understanding that he's talking about the same thing. Without Tesla's forward, there is no Miles backwards, because it needs Tesla to push forward for Miles to receive his scalar waves. And this, as a scientist, is blind to it, and I'll explain this to him many times. You call it eddy current, you call it whatever you like. This is the process we have to understand, and then whenever we see a condition, we have to determine, is it coming to us or is it going away from us? If it's going away from us, it means it's the weaker strength. If it's coming to us, it's the stronger strength. So I have to find the weaker side. If it's going away, it's the weaker. I have to find out what the strength come back in that allows it to go back at its strength. The creation of this planet exists on this. The creation of every cell on this planet works on this. It's just that due to the time as a race, we have chosen different ways to understand different part of the science. By creating different names for it has led to this, that we specifically choose different names. But in principle, the whole thing is the same. If you understand in the cancer cell how much is needed, why they've seen the threshold and nothing more. There is a threshold. We have to wait 6 hours to the second with the specific GANs to see specific cancer cells to just change. They don't destroy. I wish I could show you the pictures. It's amazing, absolutely amazing what we see. We have to find that switching point when a field changes from magnetical to gravitational. And what does it become when it becomes gravitational? Because why does it become stronger? This is what I say, it's like a banana. You can't eat the skin of the banana, but as you peel it, the stronger piece, which is the banana itself, appears. It's exactly the same. Get a banana in your hand and peel the skin. It's still in there. The magnetical, which is the skin, is weaker in the strength of that, whatever it's supposed to give. But the center, as it appears, it becomes stronger. So one is needed for the other one to manifest itself. The skin cannot exist without the banana inside, and banana cannot exist without the skin outside. Every fruit has this balance. That's why you have the skin on the skin of any fruit. The skin is a feedback. The skin is the magnetical. Sorry, the skin is gravitational and the center is magnetical. And then vice versa, in another layer, the skin becomes magnetical, the center becomes gravitational. This is what confusion was created when we explained the first maglev coils. I explained this last week. You have to understand, for a cycle of life, which means repetition and holding on to, needs a process where one strength matches the other. If you go back to the teaching, very early teachings, when we put two magnets on the table, why do they move? What is the distance? The distance at somewhere in the center is where the magnetical of the stronger loses enough energy that becomes the gravitational of the weaker. And then on the other hand, the magnetical of the weaker in traveling reaches a point that it absorbs enough energy that it matches the gravitational of the stronger. This is where we see both gravitational and magnetical on 4 lines exist. They coexist. It's the way it is. Even as a field is moving, the exit pole from the weaker side to go towards the stronger is absorbing energy on its gravitational skin. That's why the magnetical moves, and then when it reaches a point, becomes matching of the weaker side of the gravitational pull of the stronger. Without it, life doesn't exist. Without it, no star can position itself. Without it, Earth cannot position itself in respect to the sun. We look at 4 gravitational magnetic fields, but in reality, in the operation is 8 of them, because each one at the same time as moving out to a new destination, as it gives, is taking, and is taking is giving to find its balance. So when we show the magnetical field from the exit point of a magnet or a planet, it's not that it's just magnetical is going. You have to see what the skin absorbing, that it increases, that the field can go further, that it becomes balanced at the point to the strength of the gravitational field of the destination system. This is how we deplete energy from cancers in the coil system. These are what we have to understand. This is what I said. The teaching is complete. Understanding, which is the next step. Understanding the creation and what it needs to be created. In so many ways, we go back to original of the teaching. If we go back to very original teachings, go back to when we said we have the sun, we have the earth. We have in this process creation of the fields, where the position is dictated, the distance is confirmed. On this layer is not just one, but you have the magnetical, the same as gravitational, leaning against each other, where there are 8 field forces existing, but we only consider the one which is forwarding to the other, but the other exists because without it the field force cannot operate in. So in a way, if you look at it, is when you drill a hole into a wood, you find your way to go through, but you have these chip parts which comes out of the matter state and we collect it as a dust. In the world of gravitational magnetic field, these dusts is gathered by the back line, which by collecting it, it increases its strength, that at the point of inception, interaction between the fields, it reaches the balance of the other. But because we don't see it, we never consider it. In the matter state, we collect the dust. In the plasma state, the gravitational field, the strength which the magnetical is coming out of, is collecting the energy. That's why it increases itself. That's why it feeds back to it. And at the point when it reaches the gravitation of the other, the balance is created. This is what has never been understood, and I'll keep on repeating till one day somebody understands. There is no wastage, there is no leftover. Somebody will come and collect the dust. The system, because it created out of itself, it absorbs its residual and make it to become part of its gravitational. Look at the Alex bits, look at the gravitational magnetic coils. We have repeated the same thing. The feedback is collection of the residuals, which in the matter state, we drill it and we throw it away. We cut through a mountain, we got a hole, we go forward, but we discard the stone and the mortar which comes out of the tunnel. In the world of plasma, all this because it's created of the same self. If you go back to the teaching, we always said that plasma is both gravitational and magnetical. So as one loses, the other one gains, because it has somewhere in its spectrum part of what the other one is releasing. This is how the world of science works. This is how the world of plasma works. And up to now, and every time we teach, it has been discarded. We always look what we gain, how far do we go? We can't go any further if we don't collect what we already have destroyed and part of it. We take energy of the other. So if you take all the dust and put it back in the tunnel is made. Now it's not there, there's more of it for the gravitational to feed. This is what I keep on saying. We need to go to understand more in depth, then the understanding of science of creation becomes pleasure. We always say in our teachings, when the field forces of the planet and the sun interact, at the point of interaction, you create what you call the matters of the planet. Nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, helium. Huge amount of helium is produced in upper layers of the atmosphere. But through the centralization and the compression and gravitational magnetic field of the vacuum, or lesser strength, what we call vacuum, it converts itself to feel the strength of the hydrogen and energy for production of oxygen or reduction in carbon, where the nitrogen as a centralizer releases the energy needed. What happens? Now we understand for the first time in the teaching of the past that the life of the man starts in the what we call the gaseous part of the planet. What is important is that this gaseous part itself is the gaseous part itself. It radiates and receives. It is created out of the inner structure, but this inner structure has a field and matter state. The same process as what we see in the interaction of the fields of the two field forces of the earth and the sun now appears and takes place between the plasmatic fields of the earth and the materials which are created. This leading to creation of what we call the gaseous part, interaction of the fields with each other, which is called the amino acid. Now, as we said before many times, the physical part itself has different structures, which is, one is the solid part, outer part, and one is the liquid part, which we see as the waters of the oceans and the sea. When this gaseous creation, the amino acid, interacts with the solid part, a new kind of life is created which is blind to the science of man. In the future we explain. In the interaction of the gaseous part, the amino acid, with the water part, we see the creation of new interactions. A coexistence a co-interaction, a co-partnership, whatever you want to call this, takes place. Now we have the amino acid, and now we have the water, which itself has the possibility of creation, of weakening or creating a field strength of the system. We have problem here, it's just getting the same thing back again. So we have the amino acid now enters the liquid of the water. Now it is not in a free space of the gas motion, is in a thicker interaction of the water molecular structure, gravitational magnetic field. You have to remember a very fundamental important note, and that is the water on the surface of the planet manifests itself, behaves itself as a matter state in respect to gravitational magnetic field of its atmosphere. But in reality, because it's in the plasmatic condition of the solar system, it still behaves in a GANS state in respect to the strength of the solar system gravitational magnetic field. So if you understand this, you will realize one fundamental point, that the waters in the oceans and the seas in a certain part, and most of the part, are exactly in the CO2 box of the universe, or CO2 box of the planet, where this water exists. Now the solid part has created matters for itself that in the liquid part are soluble, like sodium. So now the salt of the sea gives you, in the presence of the water, the condition of your CO2 box. You have a GANS pot. You call it the oceans, you call it the seas. You have seen how you can produce different ganses in the pot, depending what elements you have inserted inside the pot. With the rains and the storms and the washing of the sand and the solid matter states, rubbing of the stones on top of each other, rubbing of the gold and the silver and iron and copper, rolling down through the rain to become a dust. This pot has millions and billions and trillions of particles. Now you have seen, you had the salt, the sea, the amino acid, and the matter state in the nano state GANS particles. So you add, let's say, zinc to it. Now in another part, the same thing comes, and you add copper to it. Too similar to each other, easy to make the link. Now you have amino acid of the zinc, amino acid of the copper. The two entities entangle, so the life becomes in conjunction. Somewhere else, the amino acid of interaction with the salt water, with the addition of what we had, the sodium, where we missed here, with the iron, leads to creation of what you call hemoglobin. A magnetically thrown condition in respect to the Earth gravitational magnetic field. The only entity which in the solid state on the gravitational field strength of the Earth creates levitation. So in the interaction of the zinc and the copper, now you find yourself in circulation of the flow of the fields, what you call the hemoglobin, or what we call blood. Because you have to understand, if you look at the top of your gas boxes, the protein is flat. In the interaction and creation of the field of the plasma of the hemoglobin, it becomes encircled. Now you have what you see as the zinc, and you see the copper. And this is how blood vessels are created in the body of the man. That's why blood flows in the body of the man. Due to its gravitational field forces imbalance on this planet, to iron, it keeps its levitation in respect to the other fields. And once it's created, it's self-sustaining. Means you can take man to anywhere in the universe. It is inside the cell of the structure of the human being, and its gravitational magnetic field strength. That's why when you bleed, it comes out of this environment, it solidifies, because it's a different strength. Now you understand, is adding of different strength fields makes heart tissue, makes lung tissue, makes brain cells, depending on the ratio of it, depending on the salinity of the salt, depending on which kind of salt exists. And now the game of life starts. The question is, if you understood this, is there a creator? Or is it the weakness of the man in his own creation that has brought him to the demise of the creating of the God? I made man in the image of myself. If my image is strong, it reflects the man as a strong. Where did the creator come to it? Did he come and measure how much oxygen there will be in the atmosphere? How much nitrogen? How much I'm going to field created? Is the creator the limitation of understanding of the man of his own creation? The reason I teach this way is because when the man understands the truth in the depth of the space, man cannot be abused, as he understands the limitation of his understanding is the cause of his development. Then the man does not believe in fallacies, because he can analyze, he can understand the condition. When somebody tells you in the deeper space, I am this and that, you analyze, how is this guy is created? Can I repeat it? And if I can repeat it and understand his way, he's not the creator. It's my weakness which allows him to be. There is no abuser if you allow the abuse. Religions are abuse of the man's weakness, his own understanding of his own creation. In one page, I have explained the whole process of the creation from fields to man. Is there a creator? This page is the history of man on this planet. This is the history of creation on this planet, and it replicates itself anywhere in the universe. Now you have to go back to what John showed. Adjust some fields, create different dimension of the strength. Then you'll find the gravitational magnetic field point absorption of the crumbs becomes the liver, storing the leftovers. Creating fields inside it to be able to be balanced equal to calcium, sodium, or whatever else. Liver is the storage, is the warehouse. You create a system that those who passed or are too weak needs to be extracted. You call them kidneys. As you take solid matter, at this point, you need to extract after conversion to be able. If you block it, there will be nothing more coming in because the life finds its balance. You have created the bigger intestine, the large intestine, another disposable unit. You have stored energy in its operation to know what needs to be done in respect to what. You created a computer center by different strength gravitational magnetic field of salts of different strength in salinity. You created a computer, the brain of the man. Then you have divided the control in a way that it can be done central computerized to little stations that they can do their operation and reporting now and then to the headquarters. You call it the glands. You need to use to feed, to run this operation through electrical magnetic field, as you want to call it, the current flow system, your wiring. To do with the matter state of it, you call it blood. To do with its emotional, which is a central computer communication line, you call it neurosystem. You need to be able to be mobiling the system that it can have access to plenty, that it can regenerate as much as you like. You call it legs and arms. There is nothing to the body of the man. It's a mechanical system which has seen how to adapt itself to its creation. You change the gravitational magnetic field of one of the parameters of the body of the man, you can get man to live anywhere in the universe. Still with the emotion of the man, but in physicality of the destination. But the whole system needs concentration, that the physicality and the emotion, which is the control system, are operated and receive the same amount. You call it the soul of the man. The central energy both for emotion and the physicality. So, is there a creator? Does the man has to be fooled with a cross? Does a man needs to be fooled with the Star of David? Or with the moon? Or with any other thing? To confirm his own weakness of understanding of his creation? Or man becomes strong enough that from what is learned in the depth of space, he shall not be used. To be the man of space, you need to understand the reality of space. You need to understand the whole process, that you shall not see no church, no mosques, no temples anywhere across the universe. as you understand the reality. And then by being in that position, you see a bigger picture of the creation of the whole universe. As I said, on this page, we have brought the whole creation of man, or being on this planet. With changing of little strength or little material, you make your life vertical, you make the life horizontal, you change one of the parameters, you make it a dog or you make it the apple tree. You change, slide another parameter, you make it a cat and you make an orange tree. The reality is that the fundamental understanding of the creation cannot be changed. Did it exist, an apple tree, billions of years ago? Or due to the changes of the atmospheric positioning of the planet, it allowed the creation of the apple? This is what we need to understand. We need to understand the process in its totality, that in the deepest space the man is about to enter, and partially somehow do not get fooled and taken as a slave. As I said, I take man to a space with a full knowledge that he will enter the universal community as equal partner and not a subordinate. An understanding of this process is fundamental, that man does not become subordinate to the others due to lack of his own understanding of his own creation. The fundamental point is to understand what gives and what takes. What allows and how much. What creates a condition of the interaction, and when you don't see it, where it is that it doesn't become a magic. When you don't see this return line, then you wonder how this goes. But if you find the return line and understand the process of the strength of the return line, there is no magic. The life of the universe is very simple. It's a loop. Nothing else. And the loop you see very clearly, very, very clearly. It needs the existence of the both. One on a strength appears to be of the other. When you understand this, you understand why our work with the Chinese has a lot of meaning. Yin and Yang. Yin and Yang. Each one has to be connected to the other to bring balance in the creation. And there is no point of change. Is the exchange in the strength where it becomes balanced to be accepted by the others in the field of their attraction. In so many ways, the full understanding of the science of plasma in its entirety, by let's say 60%, has understood by the Chinese culture. And those who follow it, they see a lot of things. They see a lot of pathways. They see passage through other points. In the Abrahimism pathway, again, what we receive, we don't see that what we receive is what we have put out. We always unbalanced in our judgment. Be it on every level, because this way we can be abused. When you don't see the other hand putting the money in the pocket when you're playing magic, the money has disappeared, but you didn't see the move because you were not at the visual strength to see the hand went in the pocket and left the money in there and it shows a free hand. It's your job to find the pocket. And when you understand the pocket is there, you understand the full circle. Creation of life in the universe is as simple as ABC. Is the man who misses the B and sees A and C and just wondered how it's happened. The man does not see the link. And when the man does not see the link, is open to views in space. Any questions? And please keep it to the teaching.
Mr. Keshe, Akshar has asked earlier in the Q&A, or asked the two questions. Our soul is grown by elder souls. Our physicality comes from our environment.
Physicality comes from our environment.
I think you've established that in the last little while here, yes.
Connection of the soul is not elder. Yeah, the establishment, what you call all the leads to the creation of the man, and that is, as you've seen, the amino acid led in interaction with the salt and the water, a condition, we call it life as we see it. Look at the way the red muscle tissue is created and the white muscle tissue created. Why the birds have both white and black or dark meat. Look why the creations on this planet, which are on 4 legs, have a red blood cells or a red meat. Look why the fish carries a white meat. Understand these are all due to the interaction of environmental, gravitational, plasmatic, magnetic fields. In the liquid of the water, different structure is created. Look at the structure of the body of a fish. You don't see muscles. You see layering because the flexibility is there to do. The plasmatic field of the water creates that. Look at the structure of the, let's say, the dog or a man. We need different because the atmosphere has changed the condition. So the next step addition is we are not created each time out of nowhere. We don't fall out of the, what we call the basket of the bird. We are created out of interaction of the cells which have created their own memory. So in that level, what is been stored in the memory bank or the energy of the cell of the father and the mother, it becomes a central bank to the new life. There is a important thing to remember, again going beyond the matter of physicality, but understanding the totality. As human being, we have one illusion and one fallacy, that we only store what we see or what we hear or what we feel. Understand the span of what you call the aura of the man. A man who existed in time of Christ on the other part of the world has received the message the same as the man who stood next to Christ. He chose not to hear because he could not see the man and the reaction. Many people who were at the strength of the understanding of the teaching of the Christ bless his name lived a Christian life without ever knowing about Christianity, because they received it through the fields of the planet, through the fields of the existence of the soul of the Christ. So, in the memory bank of their soul, in the memory bank of what we transferred to us, even though they were born in, let's say, South America at the time, they still, if you go in the depth of the knowledge of their existence, they've heard the message. So, the soul of the entity of the man on this planet hears everything, gathers everything, and it becomes part of the next generation. Then, is it possible that we are reincarnated, we are done this and that? No. We carry the accumulation of the knowledge of the past in our soul, in what we've been given. The sperm and the egg are the hard disk. The soul of the man is the information on the hard disk. It cannot be erased. Does not matter how the hard disk shows itself. If you go back and understand this, man or being somewhere in one point or the other saw the interaction of singularity as too much. As when you are, for example, pregnant, it's very hard to go hunt to feed the child for 9 months.
I think we lost Mr. Keshe there briefly, and we should have him back shortly. Yeah, okay. That's not a good one. Still waiting to hear back from Mr. Keshe. Bear with us for a few more minutes.
Rick,
Hello.
good morning, Rick. This is Oza. I have a question for you. Until Mr. Keshe comes, in that diagram that Mr. Keshe drew with the copper and zinc and make a loop, where is the iodine come from? Where is it?
The iodine?
Yeah, because we have the zinc and we have the copper. So that's physicality and emotion. So where is the iodine?
I give up. I give up. Where is the iodine? Perhaps it's part of the amino acid complex?
Because iodine is cesium, and iodine is the one that is our soul. So where the soul comes in place.
I thought Mr. Keshe started talking about the interaction between the red and the white flesh, meat or material in the bodies, and then the interaction between with the Kimsey loop, the interaction between the layers, and maybe that's partly the answer. In between the other layers.
Okay, and also, do we have a God?
What do you mean we?
I mean, as humanity, we say God. Do we have God?
Does humanity speak in one voice? I don't think so. I don't hear humanity talking. Do you mean you? Say I when you say that.
I'm talking about everybody talks about God, and even Mr. Keshe said, Christ bless his soul. If we have no creator, why do we bless the soul?
Anyone have an answer to that question? You pop all these big questions when Mr. Keshe isn't here. You kind of put me on the spot a bit.
No, that's okay. It's just like just opening up the conversation to see.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I think of bless the soul. It's you blessing to the soul what the teaching he brought in and what he's done. Correct.
Armin, what do you mean? What the soul brought in? Because when you say, who is the one who says, "I created the man in my own image"? Who is that one?
It's us, which it's actually Christ. He said.
Christ said that, or God said that I created the man in my own image?
Actually, we said that.
So we are God then.
Correct.
Well, we have to discern what we mean by we. That's why I asked you we. Then you're going to take what Armin just said and then say that it applies to all of mankind. Every time someone speaks, they're speaking from a place of God. That may not be true.
So, and the question is, if we are all God, why one God is a killer and another God is a nice person?
Well, we're all God, but we're all idiots and other bad names as well. Yeah, it all depends on your perspective. What are you seeing? Are you seeing God? Or are you seeing idiots and people fumbling around in life? You could look at each person as God and actually address them and have that reverence, that amount of purity and just gratitude for that. Or we can take a different point of view and more the ordinary and just, look at them as ordinary individuals and treat them as, the way people treat each other, which is not very kindly in some times and overly kindly in other times compared to the way you might treat someone if you looked at them as the actual incarnation of the absolute standing right in front of you. And in fact, your image in the mirror would be as well if one was able to see that in every person. But if you can't see it, then you're not at the point of being able to see it. That's as simple as that gets. And we see other things instead. We see other, people's flaws and different difficulties and whatnot. It all depends on the level that we're looking from, our perch, our point of view, our perspective, which can vary enormously in humans. That's why I say we can't say we do we see God as humans? Well, we may or we may not. I don't know. Do you? If you don't, why not? One might ask. And then we'll have a whole raft of excuses and reasons why we're not able to see the absolute in others at this particular moment. That's
my question also is, if we don't have any religion, then why Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, they all showed up? I mean, where did they come from? Where did they got the information? And how did they get that other strength? And so what do we call them?
Many messengers came to teach humanity, and they had to come again and again because we are so dumb and stupid and not listening that we don't learn from the first.
So we have a messenger, so we have a creator then.
Creation take its place in every planet or every habitable, we call it, let's put it this way, in every planet.
Arman, do we have to be thankful for whatever we have? And if we're thankful, who is the thank go to? To the creator or to ourselves?
To yourself.
Because I totally got confused this time with Mr. Keshe talk.
Why is that?
Because I thought I got it, but absolutely I didn't get that.
So if the planet created us, so who's the God?
Exactly. The one that says, I create a man in the image of myself. I want to know who is that.
I think our biggest problem is that we are trying to see the structure in everything. It's just the soup of fields and interaction, and we are the consequence of it. And now we are trying to see the structure, and we are trying to define God and prophets, and we are trying to see the planets and everything, and then trying to discuss about from the perspective of certain part of the structure that we see. But if you go to the beginning, there are just fields and interaction, and everything what happened afterwards is consequence. So we can ask that, but it's our perception that it has to be a structure, and now we are trying to see the relations.
So Stanley, if that's true, so why is one soul on the planet as we see it is suffering and another one is not suffering? Because if you're a field So if we should have all equally use all the foods of the earth, but you see some people are poor and they don't have anything to eat. Some people are wealthy and they have so much they're dying from wealth. So what's the reason for that?
Yeah, Isaac,
Can I?
to me it's very easy. Put the water in the container and then put some, I don't know, dust that will color the water in one part. It will not go around equally, you know. And this is it. I mean, what's happening to us on this planet is, again, you can simplify and see, it's just the certain state of the interaction. But now we looking from our position as a humans that this is good and bad, and some are suffering and some are good. But if you are looking from the perspective of creation itself, it's just like dust trying to dissolve in the water, and then now you see the clouds in one part of the water, then in another part of the water. So what will you say?
So if that's
colored, it's bad, and the part it's not colored is good. You know, it's the same.
if that's correct, then why we try to bring peace to the earth, or try to prevent hunger, or try to stop wars? So we say,
Well, can I come in here for something for a second?
You want to put a Band-Aid on it, or if you have a pain in your belly or your toe, then you definitely want to take care of that. It's part of it's built in to want to help. Go ahead, Mario. Maybe you have some clarity there. Hello, Mario.
Well, the answer to the question that you're really asking is in the Baha'u'llah not the seven valleys, the hidden words. And you are this creator of your soul is the creator of your own emotionality and your own physicality. And if you look at that and read those hidden words, it's your own soul talking to you. So you will find the answers there if you read it like that. You are in the so, and the answers to all of those other questions are there. And as far as that part goes, I think the iodine thing, I'm not sure about this, but I think the iodine thing is when you add the gases, the lighter gases of the amino acids, when you put them together, you will get a weight field strength of the soul, of the iodine. So I think that's correct. So the physicality creates the soul creates the physicality, and it's one feeds from the other in an infinity loop. I think that's the answer to that. But the main question you're asking, sorry?
Yeah, I think that ties in with what I said earlier. And also we mentioned this before, I think, Mario, in relation to a mosquito, I believe it was. And even a mosquito has iodine in its structure. Wasn't that true?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the strength of the soul. But I think everything has its own field strength. I'm not sure the mosquito's exactly the same field strength iodine is. But yeah, I think so. But I think the one creates the other, not in a linear way, sort of simultaneously or instantaneously in that way. I'm not 100%.
Mr. Keshe showed us how it works tonight with the when he showed the amino acid is flat, and then when it combines with the blood or with the hemoglobin, then the hemoglobin's round and the amino acid wraps around the round structure, and it gives it a three-dimensional structure. And
can I come in to explain this, Rick?
Please do, Mr.
Yeah, I fell out. I don't know where I fell out. I don't know what.
We've been filling in while you fell out, so
yeah. I've been listening to all of it. I've been asking.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so but I don't know where I fell out. How much did you hear?
The big questions came up after you left.
Pardon? Yeah, but what did you hear? What was the last thing you heard?
Can anybody recall?
White meat and black meat of different.
Pardon?
White.
You were talking about the white meat and dark meat, about the bird.
Okay,
Yeah, I
no
went a
problem.
little further than
Let
that.
me answer. Let me answer part of what Rick just explained for you to understand. In the body of the man, it's a vacuum condition. If you look at the balls, the transparent balls with the ganses you made, you see the stronger moves out, and then the middle, and then the weaker in the center. So if you understood that, the zinc moves out, and then the copper, and then the iron. That's why in the structure difference, as your vein goes to the thinner part of your body, you get the finer blood vessels. The same with your neurosystem. The neurosystem works in reverse of the blood system. The neurosystem are the infinity loop of the blood system, the other side of it. That's why the veins and the what do you call the neurosystem work parallel enough next to each other. It's part of the feedback and taking in. The body of the man has four. We always looked at where the blood goes and the other blood vessels which bring the blood back. The same system hides within the neurosystem, but internally we have a feed-in and a feedback. In respect to what we said about the animals, is the environmental condition which has dictated the color of the animal, the color of the blood, the color of the muscle. So, in so many ways I explained so much, and when I looked, I was disconnected, which meant the man is not ready to hear. I revealed a lot of information. Maybe it's heard by your souls. In so many ways, when the body of the man becomes part of the interaction of its physicality, it remembers the part of the physicality in the memory disk of the physical part. If you look at the CD drum, it's a CD drum of your play. You can separate the drum from the keyboard, even though they play at the same time. The keyboard is the soul of the man. The guitar is RNA. The drum is the physicality. But all play at the same time on the same disk. Doesn't matter if you stop playing the drum, the keyboard still plays. The CD does not stop. Doesn't matter if you stop the guitar, the keyboard still plays. The keyboard can mimic both the drum and the guitar. That's your soul. It carries the entirety of the key, the information. There is a very big question in the world of creation. Why we always rely on the mother? Because the not much many produced, it carries the totality of most of the information. The father is the addition to the keyboard. What was missing? What needs to be added? What that part has heard while the other part was not ready. This goes back to Jewish religion, belief. Bloodline goes down the mother's side. In many African tribes it's the same. Mother produces one egg as most of possible perfection. The Father produces many because it doesn't know if it's distorted or not, and depends which part will allow. The process of the understanding of the physicality is to be detached from it. To understand is just a point of manifestation. Point of presentation in a physical dimension, not in the dimension of the totality. That is why when you go into deep space, when you travel in deep space, your body structure will change, has to change to exist within that environment. Do we need to have a belief that there is another God in that destination that we can now join a new church? Or do we understand that in that environment we have to look like this to be able to carry on the message of the keyboard? The creation of the Creator is the biggest point for man's position to cross the line of understanding. Creation of the God to be the limitation is the same as the fallacy of the speed of light is the ultimate speed. Those who have become wise understand the fallacy in the whole teaching of, or whatever writing of Einstein. He never understood, and he gathered his own believers. So are the others in the level of the soul and understanding. The important point in this junction for man is to understand the totality, and this is our biggest problem. Those who would like to stick to current way because it fits them will deny everything else about it. Jews deny the Christians, Christians deny the Muslims, Muslims deny the Baha'is, and the rest of the whole lot. Because in accepting the development, it means letting the past go. This is why religions have no base in the universe. Because when you understand the totality and be open to see the reality of how life and different shape or form exist, does not need different churches of belief. Church is the temple of understanding of the man himself. It's he who puts different names on it. The temple of the man is the soul of the man. It's for man to understand his soul. Then he'll find out there is no limitation in the world of creation. This is what is important to understand. Then we get ready to go. It's no use taking man to space, then he has to fight the Jews, the Christians, the Muslims in space. What other religion you want to fight in the name you create? Due to the lack of your own understanding. I have always said, the man will take from this science according to his intelligence. How intelligent man has become to understand there is the process and the creation. They say you're atheist. No, it means you never understood. The man who uses that word, it shows his lack of understanding and a point for him to confirm he's stupid. Not the man who has given the knowledge. This word, this condition, it shows this is my knowledge, this is my understanding. I don't want to understand more. So you're stupid, you're atheist, you are whatever, Antichrist. It means this is the level of my maturity. I don't want to go any further. I am limited in my understanding. So it's not you who's wrong, it's me who is the enemy of myself. This is what we have to mature into. And a lot of people will kick and shout because a lot of churches won't exist when the man understands the totality. When a man understands, if I kick a dog, I receive from the soul of the dog not a bite but a kick that I have to pay somewhere else to balance it. We look to justify our meager existence through our lack of understanding. Then we believe in anything. You name it, we believe in it. The tree, the plant, the church, the mosque, the temple, call it anything you like. They keep on telling me, especially American scientists who are atheists, is that do not mix your science with religion and theology. This is where we can't accept. It means we are stupid, we want to stick to it, because this way we can abuse the man. You are opening their eyes not to be abused. This is the problem we'll face with the religions. The same, when people understand this process which was on the table, then how can you tell them Jesus is there, Moses is there, you pay me half of what you earn? It's me who's the thief in the name of the God, not the man who works. This is the way we have come to believe, and it's enshrined, it's ingrained in our way. That's why we ask the question, then where is God? Why has he made himself in the image of myself? He's made himself in the image of me because it's me who has made that image. The color of red to my eye is not the same color of red to your eye. The job is to understand the totality, that by understanding it, we close the door of abuse, that we don't go into another cycle in the space. Black put against the white, Muslims against the Christians, man from planet Earth against the man in the planet Mars or another star. When you understand the man in the path of belief of correctness, to Moses, to Jesus, to Muhammad, is all the same man, the same path. You carry that into space. Creature from another planet is part of you. It's the same as you. It's created in different condition. He's black, white, or Chinese. He's Martian or whatever else. This is what we're trying to establish. This is what we're trying to convey the message. Those who oppose this kind of teaching to understanding the totality to open the man, these are the criminals of this man, humanity. Because this is the way they want to carry on with limiting the understanding of the man, that they can abuse it. I teach freely. The others teach freely. But it's what you understand from the teaching which counts. We started the process from the same matter, but we showed different evolution, call it the nano and the gans and the rest of it. You have started with the matter, you heat it, liquid it, and solid it. In every stage of every one of those, you can still make the gans, you can still make the nano. It's for you to understand, but the process doesn't change. What we have tried and what we do is very simple. The man has to understand that there is no limitation in the universe. The barbed wire and the fences and the walls are put up by the man who wants to limit himself to his own understanding and his own intelligence. There is nothing wrong if you can see beyond the wall. As long as you accept there is another wall beyond that wall, and it's you who have to understand the height of it and the understanding of it. That wall was something else, then was something else, then you call it the Judaism, the Christianity, and the rest and the rest. White, yellow, black, and the rest. We create these divisions to confirm our own existence. If we put these away, there is no problem. If we put these, our what I call our own lack of understanding, then there is no prejudice. Then there is no limitation. Then we are open to totality. Very interesting point. I was explaining this recently to a couple of people around us. I've mentioned this before, but maybe you understand more. How the man has fooled himself and entrapped himself. Some times ago, I was sitting with my cousin. She's intellectual, lives in Iran. She said, you know, you men are so stupid. You have written all the laws for yourselves. It's got nothing to do with us women. I said, what do you mean? She said, read the books. In all the holy books, it tells you a man cannot have more than one wife. It's adulterous. Or it says a man can have 4 or 5 wives, or the man can have this and that. But in none of the books written by the man, it says a woman cannot have 4 or 5 men. You put the limitation on yourselves, not us, so we are free. As women, we are free. You made the holy books by the man for themselves, and you say, how many women can a man marry? But nowhere it says a woman cannot marry more than 10, 20 husbands. Now convert this back to what we believe as men. How many of us have paid money for having an adulterous life? To the church, to the priest, to whatever. But women have 2 or 3 husbands or lovers. There is nowhere in the book, in any book. And then what we say, we punish the woman with this and that. But nowhere has said that there is a limitation on how many they can have. It's the man who's limited. So, is the man pride has become the prison of his own belief. Now you understand. You have to rewrite all the holy books that it covers the women too. Now we need parallel prophetic women to convey and change. Or we understand the totality, we don't touch a soul. Does not matter what shape or color it carries. Now, we have to understand the temple of the man has to be the soul of the man. Then you manifest yourself in any dimension according to what it is, the environment given. If you're in the environment of the gaseous, you become the amino acid. You still have an intellect, you interact, you create a life. You are the flat line, GANs, amino acid. You interact with a new environment, new material, you become fish, the white, and this different structure that it can be flexible in the fluid. You change into the atmosphere of the solidity of the earth connected to its matter state because you carry it inside you in a solid state. You become 4-legged man and the animals, and then you stand a bit upright, you call yourself intelligent because you can see a little bit further, you walk on 2 legs. But all this, let's take this man on the surface of the planet Zeus. He'll make himself 6 legs and 20 arms and 14 eyes because this is what is needed there. Is he any more intelligent? Does he need a new church that each eye has to pay attention to? And he makes 400 temples that each leg can walk into one. Or man understand the totality that this is what is needed to survive. In that there is no churches, there is no temples, and there is no God. So the God of the man becomes himself to be correct. This is my job, to get the man the understanding that the temple of the creation sits within the soul of the man. The wealth, the status is what man has made. One suffers or one doesn't is according to what the physicality has accepted. I walk the streets of Accra. I walk and see people. I've never seen so much pleasure. People don't have the position which the man has made for himself, but they are happy because they understand the position of their physicality with us. In the West, we do everything possible and we are never happy because it's gone. The focal point has moved. The understanding of the truth has moved. Very, very strange. I'll post these pictures one day on the internet. We drive every day across this beautiful city. When I tell you this, you Europeans pull your hair out. You say Africans are wild people and they do this and that because your BBC and CNN has made you to think that way. Man in Africa is the true man. Tell you what, we walk, we drive, we see generators, tens of thousands of euros, outside the house on the pavement. In the West, within 24 hours, they are stolen and gone. Here is the freedom. I trust the nation. I don't trust the four walls. I put my system outside. We pass rows and rows of furniture on the side road. Never moved, put out, locked up there. Thousands of the weightless wheels and whatever on the pavement, never moved. Thousands of people pass day and night. We pass florists with the top, the most beautiful flowers, all open on the pavement on the side, thousands of them. Nobody locks, because the man carries the truth in his soul, not to steal. In Italy, they don't touch because the mafia will kill. Here they don't touch because it's wrong to the soul of the man. The only people who will steal are the foreigners because they got the habit of it from the West. Ghanaians don't touch nothing. I've seen that in Gambia, I've seen that in Sierra Leone, I've seen that in Kinshasa. People go hungry, but they don't steal. This is the true man. And then the white man in the West calls the rest wild because his wildness is a gun on his back. Come, we invite you to come to understand what the white man is missing. The trust in himself. And then he needs that kind of gods and creations. You sit in the car, I take a video, you see rows and rows of furniture, bed, brand new, made by the man with his effort of his life, and he puts it on the pavement. He puts it on the sidewalk. With the trust, I go home, is here, nobody steals from me. In the West, within minutes, is gone. Who is wild? Where have we made a difference in our understanding? Why do I feel at peace in Africa for decades? Why do we invite you to come to Africa, to Gambia, to Ghana, for your own health process. Because when we come here, we work on the same ethos. We work out of the hospitals, we work with the authorities. We don't work in the back of the hotel rooms as they accuse, because this is how they can disturb. These are the messengers of the evilness of the man. Nobody steals. Everything is within the law. Now, who is wrong? Or do we just show the lions and the thing and the man who lives in the hut but is correct, doesn't steal? They steal the crosses from the churches in England to melt the copper and gold. And they call themselves Christians. How many roofs of the churches have disappeared because of the copper stolen? Here, they leave it on the street. No man touches. The only one who steals is the white man, because he's never seen it. He thinks it's a time to take his Europe or America. And then we call them Africans. They are the true men. They don't put hand in their pocket. They don't go out to do whatever is done to have. This is my limitation, this is what I can have. Those who greed to have to be westernized, they do. Call them from president all the way down. If you understand this, when you go to space, nobody can bribe you, because you can produce everything you need yourself. Nobody can tell you, I can change your cancer, because you can do it yourself. You understand the process. Nobody can touch you, because you are made in the image of the strength of yourself. I'm made man in the image of myself. I'm weak, so I made that image. I'm detached, but I have to serve in the life of the man. I'm testing the group of Keshe Foundation to see and understand their detachment. And it's very interesting what is coming up. Because then I know who was there truly to be the next step. We have to understand our own strength. We have to understand our own strength with understanding the true knowledge of the creation. And the way I explained this morning, now you have seen how simply you are created. Is there a fossil fuel? Is there an oil crisis where the oceans create millions of tons of oils every day? As I've said many times, if you saw the oil on top of your CO2 box, you understand how life is created, that we become single cells and then omics and then the rest of it. What happened to those who do not come into the condition to become part of? They sink to the bottom, they become oil. And those who are thieves in the West, they call it, there is a shortage of oil, it's going to be fossil. When, how many dinosaurs have died to be so much oil that you can extract 85 million barrels a day, day in, day out? So it shows this planet is continuously producing more and more. We found new oil reserves, yes, because you emptied it, you convert the field of the planet, so more amino acid is reaching where it wasn't there to create the balance. So the more we dig, the more we create. Because it's the extraction that we create that is cleaner surface, so it creates more and more. If you take your amino acids from the top of the box, you see more is created. The more you take, the more is created. So how can it be a fossil fuel when it comes to the energy of the man? abuse of the man through his lack of understanding up to now of how oil is created. So, this is the rest. Now, you have seen in a simple way why you even have blood vessels in your body and how they change according to the environment. They create thinner, closer to the less the thinner they become. So, did God sit and create every branch of every vessels of the flow of the energy in the body of every creatures on this universe and the universes beyond? You think there is such a process? Or creation of the God has been a path to abuse the man? We changed names in the time of the man. Sacrifice a virgin, the clouds will go, the volcanic eruption stops, or there will be no hurricane. If you wait the time, it will stop. You don't need to sacrifice. We change the sacrification by giving to the name of the temples and the places of worships and the money from the man. You give. And then we can abuse. We can abuse your children and everything else, pedophiles and the rest of it, which we see nowadays. I remember in 1970s, 80s, when I lived in England, I got used to police without sidearm. It was so comfortable, we could talk to the police. They were there. The first time I saw a machine gun in the center of London in mid-80s, near 90s, I was shocked. I said to the officer, what are you carrying? He said, you haven't heard about terrorism? I said, how come there is no other, why the other police officers not carrying any sidearm? You're carrying a machine gun. He said, we are a special forces to create terror and horror, that there is something wrong. If you lived in England, his arm on the side, the police exerted its authority by correct conduct, and then some who abused it. If you told the English police, a man, that the English police is corrupt, they would have cursed you. There is impossibility, till they start catching the thieves of the police. And then it's become a norm, because now it's been accepted. Criminality exists within the law forces. Now it's accepted criminality exists within the clergy. Doesn't matter what faith. Because they rely on the weakness of the man. I'm the police, so if you don't do, I do something, you pay me, I keep you. We see this now in Western world. What does the police do? What has become the norm? Anybody who is not within the framework of one policeman is a terrorist. That's it. I can write a paper, you're a terrorist, because I don't get what I want. And I stay in my position. We see it now in Gambia. The ex-president of Gambia, who was close friends, a man walks into his office, age of 27, put a gun in his head, says, I shoot you or you have 3 days to leave the palace. I want to be the next president. The president left. He said, you keep. I've been president for 27 years. Now he is put in the point of re-election and does not accept the term because he wants to carry on with abuse. Because abusing has become the habit. We moved out of Gambia because of the unfairness. So it's us who accept it or move on. It's us to understand how you don't need to fight, you just change the condition for yourself. This is what we have to understand out of all the teachings we've done in past 2 or 3 years. To prepare man to see the whole process in Gans and the others, that he gains confidence, that he cannot be abused because he understands the totality. There is no magic. As long as you don't see where I put the coin, it's magic. When you can see up, you see to put in your pocket. There is no magic because you understood, you've seen it. All my teaching in past years has been to open the eye of the man to the reality of the creation of himself and his environment and the universe. That man cannot be abused due to lack of understanding. I explained this before. In the conference in Ghana, the first hours I saw resistance from all the nuclear physicists. That there is something fishy about this thing. There is something we cannot understand. It cannot be. We are the nuclear scientists of this country, we don't understand. I solved the problem. I expanded the horizon. I took the shackles of limitation to the next step. I said, we used to be the matter scientists for centuries and thousands of years. In 20th century, we became atomic because now we understood the whole thing has got chain in it. In 50s, late 40s and mid 40s, we became up nuclear because we understood a little bit more. And then does the knowledge of the man stops 40 years ago, or we go further inside, now we become plasmatic. So all you scientists are matter, atomic, nuclear, plasmatic scientists. Now it was comfort, because now the horizon of understanding was opened up. They could go further limit. It wasn't a fight that they're not worth it anymore, but it meant they have to accept or understand there is more they need to. And this is how we get collaboration. We change the temple and the church of nuclear to plasma, and the plasma has no church. Because it's the essence of the creation. If you have accepted there is a God, there is nothing wrong with it, because you brought that limitation of the God to your own existence, because this is the framework you can work with. And then you made a limitation for that God too. It used to be statues, it used to be the fire. Now you have made it a cross, and you made it anything else, and you're happy with it. So this is your limitation. So you understand everything else in respect to what that limitation has put on you by yourself. It's very much African life. The Christians, they go to church, and then they go to their own, what they call ancient belief God too. They have two gods. They pay to the church because it's a modern way, there's something they can. They still go and see the priest and the other thing of their, what their local belief. A man of two gods lives in Africa according to the understanding of how it's been robbed, by the white man or by the local man. And now there is a competition more and more, which temple we get more. Catholic about Protestants, Jews against Muslims, Muslims against Christians. We have Southern Sudan and Northern Sudan, the Christians against the Muslims. You sit in there and everything else. Because this way, with lack of understanding, we can take what we like. This is my job, to open your eyes. The temple of creation is within the soul of the man. Now you call yourself and bring the limitation to it, or try to adjust the writing. Go back to what I just said. It's you men who's made limitation for yourself with 4 wives. We can have as many men as we like. Nobody has put anything on it. Yeah, us men, we are so happy, and the women are free. Where is our women prophet to give the limitation to the women? Just because we put the word of adulteress into it, it covers everything about the woman and not the man, but it already applies to the man as well. What happened to the other part of the woman? that they can have so many husbands. Us men have been fooled by own foolishness, and that has to stop with the understanding of totality, because in the space there is no room. It'll end with the demise of the stupid. The stupidity comes out of limitation we put on ourselves. Then, if you understood this, stand back and you will see the rest of universal community standing next to you. They've always been there. You've been blind to it. They've never been far than your breath of your air from your life. It's you who are so short-sighted that you don't see the tip of your nose. Because they're just touching your nose, but you've never seen it. Denial has been the best way of survival for man, not understanding the totality. Many people are celebrating Christmas, but is the truth about the Christ, is what the man has made or led to believe? Or is a symbol of openness of the eyes to the totality, where the man has decided to stick to the words and not the essence? Thou shalt not steal. The biggest thief of the man is himself, from the soul of himself. So there is no balance between the soul and the body, so man suffers till the fields balance out. Africa is in balance. Even though it's learning more and more about the way the white man lives, and he thinks it's correct. And that path is led by the leaders of the religions who have set up different churches with different names. So, where is your temple in the space? You're going to build another church on Mars, or a mosque, or a synagogue, or a temple? Are you looking for the return of the Christ? Or you understand the name of the Christ is the balance of the soul of the man itself. Christ is within every man, his teaching, not his physicality. It's the man who has to understand it. It's Christmas, but it's really a big mess for man to understand. Any questions?
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Good morning, Azar.
Did you hear my question?
You have a huge problem between you and your soul, and you try to fish out how I can save myself. And in different ways you put different questions every time.
So it's all direct to the same origin, yes?
I don't know, you have to decide.
Because
Then I become another priest, and I'm not one.
okay, so my question is, how the man can understand his or her own soul?
I'll leave that for you to sort out. I've thought enough about it. You've been searching to find the soul to justify the existence, but you actually exist. Is you have to understand the strength of your soul. It is the limitation we put, and the way we understand the putting of the limitation is for us to feel safe within it.
Okay, and I have a question regarding the magnetic and gravitational.
Pardon? I can't. Can you repeat?
In the beginning, you were talking about the gravitational and magnetic. I have a question regarding that. every single cell in human body has magnetical and gravitational, which is in balance. So if I give the totality of a human being is made of many cells. So if I give each human body 100, say I give it a number 100 magnetical and 100 gravitational. So when
It will not exist. This balance doesn't go anywhere. There is always has to be a 98 to 102.
or 98 to 102. So for example,
So that it creates a life, it creates a cycle. The stagnation does not do anything.
so when 98, imagine 98 is magnetical.
Yeah.
Okay, 98 is magnetical and 102 is gravitational. When my magnetical become 95, that 3 from magnetical goes to gravitational, becomes 105.
Not necessarily, depends what are you interacting with and how much of it do you collect.
Okay, because I'm trying to figure out how the diseases come into play with this exchange of magnetical and gravitational.
It's very simple. Try to understand there are other fields that interact at the same time that you give and take from too. It's not singularity of one or the other. It's polarity of many.
So if at the end of the day, each human put their finger together, can they balance their own magnetical and gravitational?
Yes, and then you don't exist in respect to the environment because you have self-sufficient yourself. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Every Christmas, I raise the level slightly higher for the man to see a little more. Because we have reached the ultimate point. The doors of understanding allows the doors of ignorance to open up. This, the way we see the colors and we separate each other by the color and the shape. Now, if you open your eyes and understand it, you will see the creatures of the universe. You don't need to fly. You need to open the fly that you can see through it. We have zipped ourselves in. Any other question? There is an old advertising about the beer in United Kingdom. It says such a thing, beer, reaches the part that no other beer can reach. Now, I have touched and reached the part of your soul that only you can reach to understand, and then you are free. The interaction of the field of the physicality with the soul of the man will create a dimension, the openness that will see the universe. Man does not need to travel the depth of the universe as he is part of it. He is within it. And this is very hard for a man to understand. And the reason for it is coming to understand how ignorant I've been of the reality through my own ignorance. So we educate everyone the same, that no one can abuse the same on this planet and beyond, not to be abused by the others. If there is no question, we bring the whole thing to close for today. I think we passed the time.
Mr. Keshe, this is Lucy. Can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Since you just explained how our physical body is created by the field, so I'm wondering when and how our soul go into our body.
doesn't go through your body. Your physicality led to the creation of your soul. And then, because of its strength, controls your existence, that it feeds it. If you look, Rick just explained something in the talks and I expanded on it. I was sitting in the background. Nobody could hear me, but I was listening to what was discussed. The field center in the middle of the cores is empty, but it's full of, it's actual, the center of the strength. In reduction or interaction with the water in the ball, and then the others allows, according to its strength, for it to exist. Understand the process. This is where the problem is. When you put into a centrifuge, the heaviest goes on the outside, or does it go inside? Why did we see the same behavior as centrifuge in a vacuum condition? If you leave a gas in the room, the lightest goes to the outside. When you put it in a vacuum, the lightest goes in the middle. Why does it do that? It means it have more to give than it receives more. Why does the heavier gases goes to the boundary? If you understand the gravitational magnetical positioning, then you understand how the gases, how the light gases and the others position themselves. So it's the same with the body of the man. So it's the same with the soul of the man. Why does it need to be the zinc or a copper and zinc or a calcium to be part of the brain of the man, in the emotional part near the center, the soul or the man, the center of energy? Why does it, as it go further, it needs a zinc and copper, the heavier? If you look at the structure of the body of the man, it's exactly the same, but it's rain pointed. This is what I thought many times in the teachings. Many, many times. Can you allow me to share, please?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
This is the soul of the man. This is your brain. This is your physicality. Why do you see your physicality in respect to the earth? Why don't you see your physicality this way? Why don't we walk on our head? It's the same as a raindrop. The pull of gravity in respect to the earth gives the physicality of man. The fingers, the toes, it shows which kind of a strength I want to take. Have you ever thought what you have 5 different fingers? Have you ever heard when I teach a leaf has so many dips and its body connects to the fields that it can absorb? So is the man. If you take the earth away from the man and you position him in a condition and you create a new gravitational magnetic field, so the man has to react into that environment. Would he have hands or fingers like this? He will. So the essence is the soul, which interacts with the earth, and the field balance dictates the shape. That's why all the animals have the same shape. A head in the front and legs in the back, because it has to create a field balance. There is more energy less in the tail than the head of the fish. So to do and create a balance dictates the size of the fish. So is the cat, so is the dog. But here you have a connection with the planet, you have to give it the legs. Here you have connection with the water, which is dynamic, you become elongated. So we change according to our own environment on this planet, then we change color and shape and black and white and yellow and short and tall, but we don't want to accept it. This is to do with the reality of the existence in respect to interaction of the soul of the man with its environment, is the manifestation of the man, blue-eyed, white-eyed, whatever you call it. Then if we see the amino acid to become a fish and a man in the same atmosphere, so is in the atmosphere of the solar system, so is the atmosphere of the galaxy, so is the atmosphere of the universe and the universe. Then the most important thing is, I always say this to the priest, and it's the first time I put it to public. Where is the church of the dog? Which temple does he pray to? Or the dog is wiser than the man. He knows who feeds him according to standard of his understanding of the feed of the man allows me to not to do much and be comfortable. So a dog is more clever than a man and has no temple. We never seen dogs and cats go to church and pray. Which temple? They don't even allow them into the churches because they are too clever. Have you seen a church, a temple in the sea with the fishes? Is man, due to lack of his own trust in himself, has been bounded to brick and mortar. We don't preach religion, we preach understanding of the reality of the creation and physical creation, not imaginary, because it's you who made the ganses. You try to make a gans, you put a gans environment, the same as the earth, and put a ball inside a gans. None of you have done this before. And then you see the shapes of the creatures you will see in the water. I've done it. You do it. Have a look at it. It's fantastic. You see animals, creations of the fields, which have many, many combination of arms and legs that they move along. I replicated the putting of the core dynamic in the gas water. And then I replicated the zinc and the others and the gases on top of it, and you see beginning of the creation of being. Have I become the creator, or have I understood the process of creation? I am of the second, you are of the first. That's why you need a church and a temple. I always respect the prophet of the past, because through their teaching I can reach your soul to elevate your soul. Because this is the limitation you understood. I cannot teach you medicine when you haven't learned even how a plant works, what is A and B of the process of creation. So I speak your language. I am the creator many times. I am the light. So are you. It's you who is so weak in the trust in yourself that you call me the guy is a passenger and he's a creator and whatever. Because you haven't built a trust in yourself. This is what I tell Ghanaians many times. They have taken the trust that you can do out of you, that you don't even believe in yourself. You can do it even you do it in front of you. I carry some 20 nearly most intelligent people in this country, nuclear physicists, work in the Keshe Foundation factory. And my heart bleeds with them that how much, so much intelligence has no strength of the trust in themselves. And I'm building it up. It's taken me a month to build these guys up, these girls, and you see them gradually, they understand. They are something. Doesn't need a white man to do it. They carry it. They understand it. Many times I said, I gave a lecture at the Nuclear Center by the invitation of South Korean Atomic Nuclear Center, at the Prime Minister of, or President of South Korea when I was there. I entered the room with the top nuclear physicists of South Korea, sitting all in one line, many of them, 20 of them, whatever. Me and a translator and the head of South Korean Nuclear Center and the deputy, very proud I'm giving a talk. They all walked in like a sheep with a big folder on their arms. I didn't know how come they're carrying this thing with them. It's like 400 or 500 pages document they were carrying with them. And when I finished the lecture and I explained to them the creation of plasma, they, in the order of understanding, one of the top scientists says, excuse me, Mr. Keshe, we were expecting such a technology to come from Americans in 30, 40 years time. But it's here now, how can we accept this? I said, sir, you are your own prisoner. That you have to wait for an American to give you the knowledge or accept that you have the intelligence to understand it. It's you who has put that limit, that somebody is higher than you, even though you understand it, you have to wait for somebody else to tell you. And I walked to him and I opened this package. It was printed every single page of the Keshe Foundation websites across the world, that they could read something before they come in. So there was blind leading the blind, a guidebook under their arm. I send a message back to the President of South Korea. Send me real scientists who have trust in themselves. Ayatollah Khamenei, His Eminence, says something very nice. In one of his speeches 8 years ago when I was in Tehran, he said, the Iranian scientists have to become the writers of the books that the others copy, not the Iranian scientists to become a photocopying machine for the others outside. When you understand, you don't need to copy. When you have no understanding, you need to copy just to carry to confirm, I understand, I hope I understand. Believe, trust, strengthen your own trust in your own understanding. You see things different slightly than the others in the whole span of the new technology, new knowledge. It's not the new knowledge, it's been you ignored it. Look at the GANs, it's you. Today I explained how blood cells are made in you and how you have blood across the skin and the rest, because it creates that central position. And the weaker points in the narrower part leads to the creation of the stronger pull in the feedback to come. The eddy current is your black blood, darker blood, whatever you call it, to your heart. Now you understand the knowledge is the same. In understanding, I give you a strength. And in a strength, I stop the abuse of man in a space. And this is the whole purpose of these teachings. We have an open Keshe Foundation temples that you can go and put money in and sit and pray. We open the Keshe Foundation temple in the soul of your body that you understand, that can elevate you. Have you seen any Keshe Foundation centers? In teaching, yes. In factory-wise, yes. If I open the church of the Keshe Foundation, we make billions, and then we carry on with the same abuse. And there cannot be no abuse. Share the knowledge freely, you will receive more. Put a limitation on the share, you have put limitation on your own intelligence. The scientists and the leading scientists in Ghana have understood the potential of what this business of technology brings. Next year we build the first space center in Ghana. Next year we build the first space hospital in Ghana. Next year we build, and we have already done the manufacturing side. The teaching center at the university level has already started. Because they understand the new is the opening of the life for totality of the nation. We sit, we watch. We sit, we pray that others don't abuse the others. I have put the Keshe Foundation management top team in a very specific point. They all know what's happening, and I have a purpose for it. Because it shows in understanding of what they understood, and then they will see the change. Till they don't, we help a little bit. Because they should have matured. They should have understood the position. It's the same with the rest. A lot of you got feared by the attacks by others and whatever. Because then you were tested. Failure is yours in understanding of yourself, not us. Intimidation of the others is exactly what's happening in the wars of Middle East. Intimidate, war, then you submit to what we want. Keshe Foundation as a scientific group has been made a terrorist by the police in Belgium. Because one man needs children. It's what the wise governments now, they see it, they block it. They are not blind. It's the same as you. The way you see other abuse the others, you sit and you say, look, the Muslims have 4 wives. Do you know what they do? But that's the beauty. Okay, let them have 4. At least they don't abuse the children. But in the church, they do it. How come most of the child abuse is concentrated in the Catholic section of this church? Because a man has been forbidden from his natural way of living, not having a partner. Emotion, reproduction does not stop. The man has given his soul, he sees the pain, he wants to cuddle, he wants to give. He's a priest, that's how he gives comfort from his soul. But look at the Church of England, look at the others. The priest is free to share and be shared and have a wife and child. We don't see the abuse that much. Even though has created its own platform. Is that everything is correct in any other religion. Create a hole for the dam to flow and it becomes a big hole. How much can you patch it? We call it an abuse in the Western world. In the Islamic world, a 9-year-old girl can marry, become a woman. Done for centuries. There was no law of 18 till very recently. Still carried out according to the belief. A man can marry, have a wife at the age of 9. In the West, we have made it criminal offense which is correct. A child of 9 does not understand the right and wrong. But you have to understand why Muhammad blessed his name brought that out. In the time of his, they buried the girl in the sand as it came out of the womb of the mother because she was a burden. He allowed a coexistence. You have to understand the environment which Muhammad appeared, bless his name. Now in the West, we have a bigger problem in the Catholic Church. But it's all in the name of the Creator, where is you was created. You have to decide a child is not to be touched. Do you need to put name on it and find different ways of it to survive it, to keep it alive or abuse it? Many times I've said, even people at the age of 25, 28 are as innocent as a 9-year-old. They should not be touched because it's not the process. It has to go according to intelligence. 18 is the right time, maybe for majority of us, at least to understand the borders of and change of the pattern of the body to mature. From a boy to a man, from a girl to a woman. Man has made the name of religion to carry on his own abuses. So if you are correct and understand your soul, you cannot be abused and you cannot abuse. We see many of these examples in take different path of belief. We were talking very recently to people from Ghana. In the very recent past, we were told that what is called a king has died. They have many kings. And the tradition is that the coffin of the king has to stand on 4 heads on each corner. So they go out and they kill children or whatever to stand under it. And the radio stations and the police announces nobody go out because this is the possibility. But why does that to be the possibility that so much has to happen that somebody is detached from the earth? Put a concrete block. You see the abuses sits in all the culture because it is the way a man tries to confirm his own existence by allowing himself at different levels. This is what I'm trying to teach and open your eyes. Because when now you understand the process of creation of your own body, would you like to work with the gravitational magnetic field of the sun or the earth? Or does it in reality exist? If this is your body here, I'm seeing it with your soul, and you have created the gravitational field of the 4 legs and arms in respect to the earth, and the sun is here, what kind of feature do you have in respect to the sun? Because if this gravitational field has managed to create 2 arms and 2 legs, doesn't mean that your soul expands the universe and then you have many dimensions according to the field of interaction. Field of interaction of the soul created the fish flat. Field of interaction of the atmosphere of the earth with the interaction of gravitational magnetic field of the center gave man or being 4 legs and two arms and 2 legs, and vertical ones which use a different material than nitrogen or calcium or a zinc go up vertically. So does the physicality of the man in respect to the universe is plasmatic? And do we have parallel features in respect to the moon? Do we look very thin now on the moon? Because we still have a pool. If we manage to create 2 legs and 2 arms to be in respect to the earth, we must have a structure, or we will live within the field. You came to the Keshe Foundation to find solution. Now you understand the solution sits within the soul of you. It's you who have to unravel the mysteries and understand your weaknesses and your strength. So, how do you look on the moon? Can I find the image of you? Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, I have one question.
You always have question on.
Okay, this is the last one. If you have two children, 5 years old, one sitting in a New York City apartment and the parents feeding him or her and he's in comfort and everything is fine. And there is another one sitting in a house in Syria and bomb is coming and he's crying. How my soul is supposed to react to this?
This is what the condition has been made by the man. You cannot react because you have to rejoice that both exist. Is there a position for that soul in Syria to learn the hardship that in the future becomes just? Or is the future for the one in New York being in comfort becomes arrogant of this is my right? Or can you bring the two that they can bring peace amongst the both sides? We see this many times. I've seen both sides. You and I both went through revolution. In different ways we felt the pain. But has he made us wiser to understand more of? Or have we become more pragmatic and we become more narrow-minded to defend one side or other? I've seen the abuse. I was in Tehran 8 years ago and the security apparatus around me very tight. I was not supposed to see a lot of things. And one day I was walking on the streets of north of Tehran. I knew the security forces were all over. As you know, in Tehran, girls without covering themselves, they're pulled in the police stations and everything else. They have enforcement law officers that they get the women who are not decently with walk. And I could just came across this as I came out of a shop, and they were dragging this girl into the car. And she was shouting and howling. That's how it got my attention. And then the security forces found out, they realized I'm seeing this, I'm not supposed to see this. I saw what we know them, how they are. They approached these guys and women who are pulling this girl into the bus. Stop, there is something wrong, there is somebody here who's not supposed to see. And I see they let the girl go, and the girl ran, and the bus just drove off and went. Where is the reality of enforcing cover on the body of a woman or a cover on the soul or intellect of the man? It's all the same. It's enforced, and we allow that enforcement. It's us who has to bring the balance. We cannot stop this process. We cannot stop the process. I explained last week how the health process program contract is written by the Essence. And how come now we see the opposite? Because the paymaster has changed. Or is the same paymaster, they have the control, now they don't. Do we give from our souls to the world leaders to change the condition? Or with delivering the knowledge, we change the expectation of the man to understand that they're all equal. Life is very tough. because we made it tough, because we put value on everything. I was sitting with some of the governmental leaders very recently of a nation. As you know, when the disaster hit Italy, we opened the Keshe Foundation. It says belong to the nation. And we've seen the response. I said the same thing to these leaders, these people who are influential in the structure of the government. I said, the Keshe Foundation apparatus belongs to you, to your government. Open it up. My share is yours. Whatever comes in, let it become part of the national asset. I'm detached from it. I live a good life. I live a life that is enough for me to support for what I put in. But I don't go and live in God knows palaces and God knows what and hide behind things. We set some apparatuses for it to be able to operate with the presence and understanding of the man, but we don't do no more. I cannot run an operation from the garage. When you deal with a scientist, I can deal, we set up the apparatus within the structure of a nuclear, atomic, or the governments, because this allows and puts the others to understand the change has come. Then they create the reputation. Many times, as you and I know, in Farsi we see people sit on their brain, because the brain sits on their eyes. Means if you don't want to stand out, become part of it. But this is the wrong attitude. Show the people that what they do needs more, can be added to. Be proud that you're adding to it, not to be ashamed. And then you will see the change. There should have been no Syria if there was no Queen of England. We all know that. The plan was to empty the central bank. It didn't work this time. They fooled the Russian and the Chinese in Libya, so emptied the central bank into London. Chinese and Russians didn't allow it, and Putin said it very directly. This time you can't fool us. We stand for it. You can't empty central bank of Syria. And now we see the position change, and we announce it. It'll be in the favor of the Russians because Putin is correct. And we see it more and more. We don't take part in politics. We don't take part in anything else, but we see the reality, the truth. So, does a child in Syria, the 5-year-old, needs to suffer because of the hand of the others who want to rob? Or is it pleasure to sit with the robbers in New York and have a good life? Which one will come out best? The time will tell. We cannot fight anymore, the fighters, because it's become their habit. We can bring wisdom to those who understand that they don't fight. They understand there is no need for. We see that in a couple of world leaders, like the Chinese and the Russians and the Iranians and the others. There is no need that you have to judge. The two sisters have to be in the same house with their parents in wherever in Syria. It's us who allows the abuse, and we have accepted it because they enforce it. Wisdom brings adjustment to intelligence, and that it brings justice. Any other question?
What was the last line you said? Wisdom brings something with intelligence. I couldn't. It broke up there.
Justice.
Brings justice.
When you're intelligent, means when you understand everything, you understand what is wrong and what is right, and you become right, unless you're an abuser.
Do you think the world is improving or not at this
Oh,
point?
we are going the right way. There are bunch. If you take American and European out of the equation, the rest of the world is very peaceful. The guns and the bombs are made by the Western world and the Christians, and they blame the others to use it because they pay some of them to do it. If you see, if you understand the history of man in Africa and in Asia, you see the same pattern, it's the same people. When the English came to Africa, they didn't go and attack, destroy. They attacked a village, they attacked a group of Africans, and when they came to defend themselves, oh, now we have to kill you, now we take capture people, and so we are slaves. They've done the same thing in Libya, they've done the same thing in Syria. They paid a bunch of Italians to go to Libya to start shooting and say, why are you shooting? But we are Italians, we are not Arab. But now you see there's a shooting going on, so they started the revolution. Nothing has changed. The stupidity of man allows the repetition of the same thing. Not a single Libyan ever shot a single first fires in Libya. It was a bunch of Italians who did it. The same process as they did in Africa 200 years ago. Now you defend him because you're shooting at you, something wrong with you. And then they have the press and the newspapers and they can publish. How many Chinese or the Indians listen to CNN and BBC? Very little. And the whole thing is just westernized propaganda which is made, and they have control of few things they call airways. We can reach the soul of the man without the airways. And we are doing it. Because we have changed the communication channels. Why all the problems sits with Muslims? And it's been for past 30, 40 years, since the state of Israel, 52nd state of the United States. And in the middle, because to create that stirring up that they can continuously sell arms and drain life and money. There should have never been a state of Israel, and we call it an end to it. That state will not exist. It will become part of the one nation. We don't say an end of, we become aggregation of the totality as one. Because then a brother cannot kill a brother in the name of different belief. This is why we established a Universal Council. This is why we established a Universal Community and one world, one leadership. To put an end. A brother does not kill a brother. In one nation there is no need for arms. Guidance and protection and the civilian police force needed. There is no need for army. And the police force does not need tanks and riot gear and missiles. The money spent on these things for furnishing a few in the Western world, destroying many lives in the Middle East, will be paid back by the Western world. I will take my decision, and it's been made. We will take, and we shall see. Europeans will have the cup of begging across the world to survive very soon. The same with the Americans. Doors are shut till you sort yourself out. Condition simple. Destroy all the weapon technology, destroy all the gun manufacturing, destroy all the weapon technology. We allow you in. We allow you back to the world of humanity. I gave time till today for the world peace to be completed. You ignored it, I will serve it, and you will not like it. I gave humanity till yesterday and today to complete the world peace. You saw we gave the key to the governments and they've used it, they locked it up. We came out, we gave it to the public. From now on, we'll do our job. As one nation, we'll deliver. there shall be peace. Because the soul of the man is crying for it, and we have educated the man. And then the story will change. The girl in Syria will laugh, and the girl in America wishes never arrived to this such a filthy land to kill so many. Every American will pay for what their nation have done. They paid their taxes into it because they could oppose it, to kill so many. 20 million people in less than 50 years have been killed by the American financing, and you pay the taxes. The same in Europe. Payback time, correction, balance. No harm, no one shall suffer, but they will do it their own way. There were no houses left to live in Syria. There will be no food to feed in Europe because the arms are not sold and cannot be manufactured, and the man who put all his life in making guns to kill, now he has to sweep the floors and eat grass. Very simple. We teach the rest, and the blind will stay in their own temple till they find out they have to eat each other. This is very simple. When we decide, we deliver. You all watched me. 2 years I waited for governments to deliver the technology to public till we gave. And what happened to it? A rush, a take, and then not understanding. We start teaching. Now you understand more. Look what happened with the Maghreb systems. A rush that we could take. How many of you built it? Did anybody put back anything in the foundation? No. The foundation is humanity. No. Now I have more, I spend more, I save. We get reports from Germany. I use 18 kilowatt hour before, after a year is 4 kilowatt hour. What happened to that saving? Did you put anything back into the community? Did you put back anything to teach, or just that's me? One more cinema, one more shed. Now you lose the shed. I tested you, you failed. Now you pay back for it through your own ignorance. By yourself, we don't do anything. The process has to be understood. That's what I said. The church is in your temple of your soul. How many of you are making so much money around Keshe Foundation? We watch everything. Have it come say you have to pay us, you have to do anything? No, you will lose. You make things, you make shirts, you make this, you make that, and then you still go to the foundation asking for this, can I have this and that? How many of you put back anything in? Did I come and say we need to donate, you got to give us what you think? No, I told you use more. Let for you to learn how you abuse yourself. My giving you freedom, I allowed you to, for you to suffer more because of your own greed. So, the temple of man has been the soul of the man. And see how many of you have any soul left to have a temple in it. And you don't learn. You go back, you fail, and you still carry on with the same. We are not preaching, we are teaching for you to understand yourself. To understand the path of your creation, that how you're created, how is a position of the physicality of interaction of the fields, and then the rest is you, how you decide to move within it. This Christmas for those who believe in the path of Christ. But I have one question to put across for those who believe in that path. Was the Christ there for the Christians to kill some more later 2000 years in his name? As Giscard d'Estaing said, EU It's a Catholic club. We won't let Turkey in. Now, EU is paying for the Catholic club, where the Turkey plays the game. Those who are wise understand what I'm talking about. Or should have been the whole world is one club, and we work together. The ethos of Keshe Foundation. Let us see what happens. From today, the peace is in our hand, and the leaders of the world have lost their time. Now we decide, and we serve exactly how it should be done. Humanity equally across all planet. Thank you very much for today, and have a wonderful Christmas and New Year.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful Christmas yourself. We'll have one last Knowledge Seekers workshop on the 29th, I guess, of December, before the end of the year. So Merry Christmas to all, and we'll be back again before the new year. Okay, thank you, everybody. That's the end of the 151st Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, December 22nd, 2016. And as always, thank you everybody for attending. And we'll end the live stream now.